Well, Bev, we haven't had a scrap of new information today, but what we were told yesterday was that 36 soldiers were posted to this military station, the Mugi Mam station in Nduga province, which is near where Philip Mehrtens, the New Zealand pilot, was taken hostage a couple of months ago. Now, we know that the rebels obviously were close by. They either knew about this post, this military post, or perhaps had only just got wind of it. And they opened fire unexpectedly on Saturday afternoon. One soldier, we're told, was killed. He fell into a ravine. And as other soldiers tried to help him or rescue him, the rebels moved in and shot at all the other soldiers. We are told in the first instance the rebels said that they had killed 6 soldiers and taken 9 captive. Today the rebels were saying that there were 12 soldiers in fact on the ground dead, plus the soldier presumably in the ravine, and that 20 or more soldiers had escaped into the jungle. But today, we know that the military has sent in reinforcements. We have heard that the commander of the TNI, the Indonesian army, flew to Papua today, but we haven't heard really anything more as to what they've done, what they've seen, whether they've retrieved any bodies, whether they have any idea of how many people have been killed.
And so to that point, do we have any idea as to where the pilot is and if he's okay since this incident?
Well, you presume that he was very close to where this happened. We do know that in the weeks after he was taken hostage, we've heard previously that he has been walking long distances going back to sort of February, March. And no doubt the team that was at this military post, we're told they were part of the rescue task force sent in to try and rescue him. The military said at the weekend that they did know where he was, and that presumably they were about to make a move. I mean, what they have clearly done is perhaps underestimate the strength of the rebels. These rebels actually have no shortage of weapons, whether they're weapons that have come from previous attacks on the army, the TNI, where they've been taken or even stolen from the army, whether they've been smuggled or sold to the rebels. We do know that they have a lot of weapons, and I think that's what probably did go wrong here, was that the army perhaps overestimated its own strength versus the rebels, and the rebels in fact had a lot more firepower than the military expected.
Yes, and was it your understanding that they were almost expecting the military and sort of lying in wait for them?
That's quite possible. This has quite possibly been an ambush. It's hard to know until we hear more tomorrow. We have been told there'll be a press conference with the military, senior military leaders either in Papua or in Jakarta. The senior commander who gave a press conference in Jakarta at the weekend, he's the one we know has now gone to Papua. So we're hoping to hear more tomorrow. He did say at the weekend that there was bad weather in Papua. There have been foggy weather, rain and so on, and whether that has hampered the effort to go in and find any soldiers who are still alive or even those who've been killed, it's unclear whether they've gone in today or whether they're waiting for that weather to clear.
There had been talk that the hostage takers were becoming more open to negotiations. Do you think that's off the table? Did talks sort of go awry?
Well, in fact, that's what the rebels have been demanding. Way back when Philip Mehrtens was taken hostage, they said they would not release the pilot until Indonesia granted independence over the whole Papua region. That's what they've been calling for since the 1960s. But of course, that was never going to happen. Indonesia would never do that. And so they did say a couple of weeks back that they would remove that demand, and they wanted to negotiate with Indonesia, presumably or preferably under mediation from, say, the United Nations or even New Zealand. That hasn't happened, and that's, I think, what's really angered the rebels. They're angry that Indonesia hasn't met even that demand, and clearly was going to move in and try and stage its own rescue effort without any talks with the rebels, and that could well still happen. But the army, in fact, has said that they will intensify the operation. Presumably once they take these soldiers, rescue those who've been saved and retrieve the bodies of those who've been killed. But that will obviously be in the days or weeks ahead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the comments from tomorrow. Good to have you on, Anne. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bev.